Okay, guys. Superman is finally here. Superman is finally in theaters. And I'm gonna be honest here. This is like the most excited I've been for a movie since like The Force Awakens. And The Force Awakens. Damn. Anyway, Superman is like a top 3 superhero for me. Most likely number 2 right behind Spider-Man. I know. So original. Superman as a character is weird though, since he's literally the archetype for superheroes, but it feels like it's been so long since he's gotten a true, faithful film adaptation. Over the years, there have been more adaptations of like a darker, edgier, realistic, maybe even evil Superman that have been getting a lot more attention as of late. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against these interpretations of Superman, and I think that they can be done in interesting ways, and they have been done in interesting ways, but when they start overshadowing, like, Superman, I don't know, it makes me feel like we're a little overdue for some hopefulness and joy here. My guy's been getting slandered for too long, being called, boring, he's not interesting, he's too overpowered, blah 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 blah. Shut up! Just say you don't know ball. It's okay if you don't know ball, but just don't act like you know what you're talking about, bruh. Sorry, whoa, that was crazy. As a Superman fan, I've stood firm in our darkest days, and now that this movie is out, I can say that the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change. Because guys, Superman is back. We are here with Superman and the new Clips album on the same weekend. We are onto that crack cocaine and hopium all year long. I am so happy that this movie is out and is as good as it is. I really, really like this movie. But it's not as perfect as I wanted it to be. Wah. Which is crazy for me to say, and it just shows how unreasonably high my expectations for this movie. But I can't say in good faith that I loved this movie as much as I wanted to love it. Don't get me wrong, it's still a really, really good movie. But there are some issues that I have with it, but we'll get into that later. Watching this movie, you just immediately get captured by the performances. Those are the best part of the movie. David Cornsweet as Superman, Clark Kent, Kal-El. My fucking goodness. He was made for this. David Cornsweet is perfect as Superman. He's able to capture that optimism, that cheerfulness, the radiant charm, sometimes naivete that like Superman has, while also showing some real emotion too. He gives the best performance as Superman on film since Christopher Reeve. And it's a performance that feels like it's breathing new life into Superman as a character. This interpretation of Superman feels a lot like a mix of Silver Age comics, All-Star Superman, Smallville even, and like the 90s and early 2000s animated series. I think that mix of characterization also plays a little bit in part of the structure of this movie, which we'll get to the structure of this movie in a little bit, but David Cornsweet is just an absolute charm bomb in this movie. Words really cannot describe how perfect David Cornsweet is as Superman. If you watch this movie and you're not absolutely charmed by David Cornsweet as Superman, then you're probably this guy right here. Wait, no. I mean that guy. Wait, no. Him. There we go, him. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor is absolutely electric, truly on some A1 hating shit in this movie. He will literally put every single person in the universe in danger. He will tear the fabric of time and space just to make Superman look bad. And you know what? You gotta respect the dedication. And sometimes you just need a villain who is as simple as that. Sometimes you don't need a villain who has a tragic backstory or has a super personal tie with the main hero. Sometimes you just gotta have a villain who is hateful and evil, just unequivocally evil. It's just so fun. It's such a fun villain performance. While I do think that some of the cinematography in this movie is pretty hit or miss, to be honest. I do really like how a lot of the action is shot. They're done with like wider focal lengths and in longer takes too, so it makes the action feel a lot more smooth and kinetic than I think that I've gotten used to in a lot of like modern superhero movies. I also love the way that Superman is shot when he's flying around too. There's a shot in the movie where Superman is fighting a giant kaiju and the kaiju breathes fire into the sky and Superman is like flying around it and it just looks so smooth and it was so good. It just hit that spot right there. It made me feel like this dog meme watching that part. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. I also really love that so much of the action in this movie is less focused on the fighting and more focused on saving people. Like, that is part of the action of the movie too. Yeah, Superman still's throwing hands and shooting lasers out of his eyes, but protecting the city, protecting the people, those are his priorities, and I like that the action also treats it as the priority. And I love the relationship between Lois and Clark in this. Rachel Brosnahan is amazing as Lois Lane. Her chemistry with David Corenswet is great, and that's the kind of chemistry that you kind of need for a relationship that's as important as Clark and Lois, or else the movie just does not work. But thankfully, they have such great chemistry that like you could watch them all day and be thoroughly entertained. All the characters in this movie are so fun and enjoyable to watch. Crypto is amazing, of course. He's so cute. And Ned, my guy, I think we found you a new COO of sex, because Jimmy Olsen is so funny in this movie. Love that they made him the unspoken Riz guy. Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, they're all so cool and so fun to watch in this movie too. Seeing them on the big screen was really fun. Love seeing Mr. Terrific get some shine. I like that Superman is also put into a bunch of different scenarios in this movie. Like, he fights a giant kaiju, he gets canceled, he goes to space prison, he saves an alien, I don't even know if it's an alien, but like it's a weird baby. It's a weird baby, okay? It's a baby, but it's weird looking. There's a lot of weird ass shit that gets thrown at audiences in this movie, and I gotta admire the ambition. This is the kind of setting that Superman finds himself in a lot, and I like that this movie actually emphasizes that, all with lacing in the themes of hope, optimism, the inherent goodness of humanity, and actually some like anti-colonization, anti-Zionism themes tied in all together. Those different scenarios give this movie the kind of structure of like an old school pulpy TV show. It's a lot like going to the store and picking up a few different Superman comics and seeing them come to life on the big screen, or watching a few episodes of Superman the Animated Series. It's bright, it's fun, it's flashy, it's grand, but it also has important things to say. But that kind of structure for a 2-hour movie can kind of make it feel like it's all over the place. Which leads me into the issues that I just can't look past. I'm sorry. I think that the movie gets caught up in trying to tell a bunch of different Superman mini storylines, which, again, I do like to an extent, but I think that they do it at the cost of the movie feeling a lot shorter than it actually is, and with its emotional moments not hitting as hard as I know a James Gunn movie could. Like I mentioned, the movie can feel like picking up a few different Superman comics from the store, but the issue is that, like, those comics don't really tie in together as seamlessly as they could have. To me, the lack of cohesion in the plot, in turn, makes the emotional moments of the movie fall not necessarily flat, but they're not as impactful as I wish they would have been. James Gunn has made and been involved in some of the best comic book movies ever made. And that's not even an exaggeration. Like, that's not crazy to say. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is still arguably the best MCU movie to this day, and it's quietly one of the most influential movies of the past decade, for better or for worse. The Guardians trilogy as a whole is easily the best trilogy in the entire MCU. And those movies, not even to mention the Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn did, are really, really memorable because they have that emotional core to them. It's not to say that Superman isn't an emotional movie. It has its emotional moments that did get me, like, pretty choked up, especially towards the end. but those moments just didn't hit as hard as the moments in the Guardians movies do. I think that if the movie took a little bit more time to simmer with its story, its world, its characters, rather than at times feeling like it's moving at 2x speed, everything would have connected just a little bit better. Most movies have the issue of being or feeling a little too long, but Superman is the rare case where I think that like an extra 15 to 20 minutes would have actually really benefited the movie. I think the movie would have felt a lot smoother and more fleshed out if we had gotten just a couple more scenes similar to like the Clark and Lois interview scene in the movie. I'm not saying that there needed to be a whole act dedicated to Clark and his daily routine, waking up at like 4 a.m., putting his face in a bowl, going on Zoom meetings on his standing desk, but I do wish that there was a little bit more time to flesh out the world and flesh out the characters at a much slower pace. An example that just popped in my mind is like in the animated show, My Adventures with Superman, there's a scene in the first episode where Clark goes on like a donut run for the Daily Planet, and it shows him like using his powers in sneaky ways and like helping people out while also trying to like maintain his identity, not trying to get himself caught in the act, while still like, you know, going about his day, going to the Daily Planet, interacting with people on the ground as Clark, doing superhero stuff while on his commute. And I think that scenes like that have a kind of slice of life energy that are a little bit more focused on the micro scale would have helped the movie's pace a lot more, and also would have helped make the world feel a little bit more fleshed out and to make the characters feel a little bit more fleshed out, to give a little bit more of a punch in the more emotional moments in the movie for me. I've seen a lot of people say that this movie kind of reminds them of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that comparison. I can see why people are making that comparison, though. There's a unique sense of earnestness and love and sense of scale that Superman is able to capture that most other superhero movies as of late haven't really been able to do. So I think that people just aren't used to seeing that in movies anymore, and that's a feeling that the Sam Raimi movies have. The feeling of watching somebody do a good thing with the special and unique gifts that they have. The thing is, though, is that those Sam Raimi movies have such a tight and focused narrative, and also just kind of has like a sauce that like is just, you can't really describe it. Those movies just have it. Like that's what makes those movies stand out. And unfortunately, Superman, it kind of has sauce, but it's not as saucy as the Sam Raimi movies, and the movie is not nearly as focused and as tight of a narrative as I would have liked it to be. There are other smaller nitpicks and issues that I have that I do want to go a little bit deeper into at some point in the future when I do a little bit of a deeper dive with like spoilers and whatnot, but the vibe and the infectious sincerity that this movie has, it's undeniable, and I really, really like it. And I can look past the issues that I may have with how true and how faithful this movie is to Superman as a character, to Superman as a mythos. It's such a fun watch, and you know, I can kind of understand why people aren't able to look past its issues. You just don't have that much joy in life, and that's okay. One day you might have it. I'm really excited for a sequel. I want it right now. I cannot get enough of this cast. I cannot get enough of this world, and as much as I do really, really like the universe that this movie has built up, I really hope that the sequel takes things a little bit slower, makes things feel a little bit more personal too, while of course having that grand, larger-than-life epic scale that a Superman movie should have. But I really hope that it's able to balance that with having a little bit more of a focused, micro-level, tight narrative. I'm also really excited for this new DCU. I think that it's setting itself up to be really successful, and it's also trying to stand out against its contemporaries, which I think is a really important thing for it to do. James Gunn, I think, knows what he's doing. I mean, with the track record that he has, he definitely does, but let's see what he can cook up on a much bigger level than what he was doing with the MCU. The Gun was still accurate. It may have missed the target just a little bit, but I mean, it still hit the mark. I'm really happy with how this Superman movie came out, even with its flaws. I'm excited for the DC universe. I'm excited for superhero movies as a whole. This feels like it's a turning point. It feels like we're literally entering a silver age in superhero movies. So I'm excited, and let's enjoy the ride. I'm feeling an 8 for Superman. Thank you guys for watching. As always, make sure you leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe if you want to keep up with more videos. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about Superman. Please also let me know, like, what you think about Superman as a character. Do you like him? Did you really not care about him? Did this movie kind of change your opinion on him? Let me know what you think in the comments. And thank you guys again, as always. I'll see you guys in the next one. See you guys for Fantastic Four. We hitting that shit.